growing up, I wasn't taught many lessons about finances or money. But this is what I watched each month growing up. I would watch my mom pull out her same notebook that she would keep in her desk. And every month she would flip it over to a new page. And at the very top of it, she would write out the month and the year. And below that, she would write out her anticipated income for the month. And then below that, she would write out all of her fixed income or fixed expenses and of the month, and then the variable things. And then she'd do this big old math equation. As she was running down the list, though, she couldn't go through the entire list without first running out of money. So then I would literally witness her kind of having this pondering look on her face. And she would wonder and have to make the decision of which bills she was going to pay and what bills that she wasn't going to pay and she was going to leave behind and wait to deal with for another month. So I share that picture kind of with you this morning because when I was growing up, that's the only picture of finances I really saw. That's all I really learned about money from a young age. So this is kind of things I was taught as a kid, that things are tight, that we never had enough money to pay the bills, and that my mom had to make really difficult decisions each month about which bills to pay for and which bills not to pay. I really think that I witnessed my mom deal with the difficulty of finances. That I think dealing with money for any one of us in our personal lives, I think has the potential to make us worry. That there's a lot of stress and anxiety when it comes to money at times for people. Recently, the American Psychological Association released the findings of a big survey. And they did a survey of 7,000 households across America. And this is what they found. They found that the study that 80% of Americans are stressed about the economy and their personal finances. I'll say that again. 80% of Americans are stressed about their financial situation and the economy. They also found that 50%, half of families are worried about providing the basic needs for their families. 56% are concerned about their own job stability. 60% of respondents actually report being angry and irritable when they think about money. And 52% report laying awake at night worrying about money. 80% of Americans are stressed about money. I think the financial collapse in 2008 and the difficult years ever since, I think that has taken an emotional and physical toll on us Americans. Over the last 10 years, I wonder if as we move forward, we have this thinking. And my sense is that maybe we're in a season of saying enough. So this is what I want us to do over the next couple of weeks. I want to take a journey with us all. A journey of maybe moving away from being a part of the 80% of people who are worried and stressed and anxious about money. I want us to move away from that. And I want us to take a journey about discovering or rediscovering God's truths about money and God's truths about wealth. So I want us to make this shift away from this worry and this anxiety and this stress of the 80%, moving maybe to a sense and a place of joy. I actually think that we can find joy in finances, that we can have joy in money, but I think we have to discover that through Jesus. And I think that comes through this thinking of enough. Or another word that we could use there is this feeling of contentment. So I want us to take this journey over the next couple of weeks, moving away from maybe anxiety and fear, moving to a place of contentment. But here's the reality, and you're going to hear this so clearly today. Our society does not want us to believe in the feeling of enough. So several years ago, the Scotland Bank, the Royal Bank of Scotland, sent an offer of a credit card, a gold MasterCard, to Monty Slater. The card came with a modest credit limit of $20,000. Quite impressive for Monty's first credit card, particularly when you know that Monty is a dog. Raymond, his owner, thought about using this card for some of Monty's favorite treats, but reconsidered, recognizing that this pup was not in a position to pay for his credit card bill, and if he wouldn't pay, it would negatively affect his credit score. The funny part about this story is simply this. This is a true story that happened in the summer of 2003. But I think it illustrates a sobering truth for us. We live in a world that encourages us to live beyond our means. If dogs get credit cards, we live in a world that encourages us to live beyond our means. We live in a world of having it now and paying for it later, and we're all caught up in this struggle. Here's my public moment of confession for you. I think it happens once a week now. So when my computer died 2 weeks ago, I began the difficult decision of needing to decide if I was going to fix my computer or buy a new one. This was a difficult decision for me, and as I was researching online, and when I went into places like Best Buy to discover what would be best for me, something happened. Outside of the quite persuasive salesmen and women, they each offered me something very, very tempting. Both online and in person, I was offered to buy a new computer using a new low-interest credit card. By not just low-interest credit card, it was a no-interest credit card for 12 or 18 months. Oh, imagine my temptation, right? I was tempted. This is what I was tempted. I went to Best Buy just to buy a modest computer that would fulfill my needs, right? Oh, my mind began to swirl, and I began to now look at more expensive computers, honestly. And then I began to walk all around Best Buy and see what else I could buy now and put it on this no-interest credit card. Because in the back of my mind, all I thought about was this shiny new credit card deal. Now here's the reality. I'm not suggesting that God has anything against new computers or the latest gadgets that we can have. But I think what I realize is that we people, we love stuff. We love the thought of new computers, honestly, right? New gadgets, new stuff. Commercials on television highlight our need to buy the latest car, to purchase new clothing with the latest fashion, right? And salespeople and television advertisers are luring us into buying something new. You know, have you had this moment? That you never knew you needed something until you watched the television commercial. It's honest, right? I never thought that I had a need for that. I watched this really persuasive commercial, and now I'm lured into thinking that I now need this new thing, whatever it is, right? We can name 1,000 things, but there's this world out there that wants to tempt us, tell us that we are in need of something, and that how we can handle it is get over that need is what do? We buy it, right? And then the next commercial tells us the next thing. So I want to take this journey this month, not filled with judgment. I hope you hear this. Or condemnation. But I want us to be on a journey toward contentment. I want us to take a journey with ourselves, our spouses, our families, because the reality is we are not in a position to judge anyone else but ourselves. That we are in a position only to judge our own lives. We only know how much money we make. We only know how much money we give away. We only know how much we may need or may not need something. Only we know when it's okay to splurge or buy something, maybe because there's balance in our lives. And only we know when it's not okay to buy something. We only know these things about ourselves. We may think we know about other people's situations, right? We may suggest that we do. But I want to take on a journey of just not being judgmental, but just a journey of self-reflection when we deal with money. Because what I want us to consider how our drive toward the American dream actually becomes the American nightmare. So let's start with the American dream. What is the American dream, right? So from the founders of our nation, at the very beginning, we learned about their dream for life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, right? MLK had a dream, and other leaders from the very beginning of our nation till now all have had dreams. Yet I think the American dream is a little different. The American dream has to do with a subconscious desire for achieving success and a desire for more material possessions. I think it's this pursuit, to have more than what we currently have. Because I think the reality is, as much as maybe we fight against this or not, that we tend to measure our success in life by these things. Our stuff, our possessions, our bank accounts, our retirements. And it's something we've all been taught, right? It's nothing that we chose to take on, but it's what our society tells us, that we know success when we see someone's house or car or bank account or retirement accounts. And I think at the core of the American dream is this. The American dream is about acquiring more, consuming more, and buying more. But as I like to think, I think the American dream has become an American nightmare for us in 2018. Now, there are two specific things, two reasons, two illnesses that I'm going to say that I think are causing this American nightmare for us. The first one is this, and it's a word called affluenza. Have you heard of that word before? Yes. Affluenza. I think it's this constant need for more. It's a constant need for bigger and better and more stuff. We could call this the game of Monopoly, honestly, right? It's the desire to acquire more wealth and more properties and hotels. And so here are three definitions of affluenza. The first one is this: the bloated, sluggish, and unfulfilled feeling that results from efforts to keep up with the Joneses. You heard that phrase before? To keep up with the Joneses. Number two, an epidemic of stress, overwork, waste, and indebtedness caused by the dogged pursuit of the American dream. And three, an unsustainable addiction to economic growth. So I think some of us have been affected by this. It's no secret that shopping has become Americans' favorite pastimes. Shopping has become the American way of life. And the problem with that is, though, our entire economy is dependent upon us spending money. And so companies spend thousands and even millions of dollars in the hope of convincing us that we need something. And they're really great at it, honestly. And so to keep up with all that we want, all that we're encouraged to buy, this is what we do. We work harder. We work harder and longer to get more money so that we can spend more, right? And because we want to spend more, what do we have to then do again? Work harder. And then what do we do? To spend more. And I feel like it's this unending, non-stopping cycle, right? Well, we work harder to spend more, we work harder to spend more, and does it ever stop? No. Instead, what does it cause within us? It's stress. Stress. Of trying to keep up with this never-ending cycle that I want to call affluenza. The desire and need for more and acquiring more, but not just more, but bigger and better. I think that stress is the first illness of the American nightmare. And number two, this is where we're going to become friends here, is something called credit-itis. Maybe a little uncomfortable for us, honestly. This is the opportunity for us to buy now and pay later. We hear something like this, right? They're so good at it, right? 6 months, same as cash, or 20% discount if you use your store credit card. And it's an idea that we can enjoy something today and pay for it tomorrow. And what does it feed within us? I think it's a sin of instant gratification. Credit cards have replaced layaway, right? There's not layaway anymore, right? Is there? Maybe there is. Is there layaway? No, there's not. Maybe there may be layaway, but we don't use layaway anymore. What do we use? Credit cards, right? We can have it now instead of waiting. You know, here's a statistic I heard that was a little staggering. The average credit card debt in America in 1990 was $3,000. Today, it's over $9,000 per person. But the reality is, and this is where I think this is so not of God. Here it is, so not of God. Because these credit cards have outrageous interest rates. I think it's a sin on God's people, I really do, or some on people. Because it takes people so long, if ever, to pay back these cards. Or to pay back loans that are just so high, filled with these outrageous and barbaric interest rates. So I think credit-itis is not just limited to personal possessions and credit cards, but extends to all other kinds of loans. Car loans, home loans, student loans, all type of loans. And I think more and more people today, I think we are just one big crisis away from losing it all. One big disaster in our lives from just losing it all. I think this is the nightmare of the American dream, is experienced because of affluenza and credititis. I think we're facing a nightmare in the United States in 2018 because of what we call the American dream, but I think it's really an overwhelming, stressful, and burden-filled nightmare. So I'm going to say something that I bet you've never heard a pastor say before. I'll be impressed if you have, but I bet you've never heard a pastor say this. But I firmly believe this. The devil doesn't want us to have financial freedom. The devil, the anti-God, does not want us to have financial freedom. The devil wants us to have a burden-filled life. The devil wants to feed us lies about money. And this is where it shows up. The first one, I think it shows up in envy. The devil tells us that we want what others have, and we will do whatever it takes, either working harder or stealing to get it, honestly. I think the devil tells us it shows up with greed. We have an intense desire for more, and we don't want to share it with anyone else. And finally, gluttony. We keep consuming and consuming and consuming, well past when our needs are met, but we keep consuming and we keep acquiring for more and more. Here's the reality is for some of us, the devil doesn't have to tempt us with drugs. The devil might not have to tempt us to have an affair in order to destroy our lives. All the devil has to do is convince us of our need of the American dream. The need to acquire more and get more. Here's what the devil knows. If he can get us in debt, he can make us a slave. If he can convince us to spend all we'll have, we'll never tithe to God, we'll never help the poor, we'll never give any money away, and we'll never use what we have to accomplish anything of God in this world. If he can tempt us to become a slave to creditors, we'll never know simplicity. We'll never know generosity, and simply we'll never know joy. He'll neutralize us and choke the very life out of us because we're constantly worried about what? Money. We're constantly worried. We're constantly stressed. But I think there's a solution, church. Have I painted a big enough problem so far? But I actually think there's a solution. I really do. It's the only reason why I'm bringing all this up. I know God wants so much more out of our lives. God wants us to have joy that is so contagious that we can't stop being joyful, and a lot more freedom for us as well. And I want to search and find that freedom with you over the next couple of weeks. Because I think we don't have to be bound and stressed by our money any longer, but to experience a life of joy, contentment, and generosity with our money. I'm going to say that again. To not be bound and stressed by our money, but to experience a life of joy, contentment, and generosity with our money. Jesus once asked a quite provocative question. He asked this. Why would people gain the whole world but lose their souls? I'm going to ask a really hard question, even for myself to consider. What would it do for us, honestly? Let's be honest, church. What would it do for us if we gained every single material possession that we've ever wanted? What would it really do for us? What would it really do in us? We might have a lot of stuff, but what would we gain? Some arrogance? Some pride that we've gained it all? But what would we lose? What would we honestly lose if we gained it all? I think we would lose the dependency upon God, and maybe a dependency upon one another. But what would people gain if they got the whole world but lost their soul? We are people who are post-Easter. We celebrated triumphantly last week about Easter. And as Christians, as people who love God and want to love God more, I think we need a changed heart. I think we need a changed purpose in life. So here's the deal. If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. I am not suggesting that we should never buy anything for ourselves. I am not suggesting that we should never buy a new car, or that we shouldn't go on vacation, or that we shouldn't buy new clothing or something that we want. I am not suggesting that we never buy anything ever again. That is not what I'm suggesting. But what I am suggesting is that with the help of God, that we can simplify our lives. And we can silence the voice in us that's telling us that we need more. That we need that new thing. I wonder if we could live counterculturally by living not above our means, but to live below our means. That we build within us a life of generosity and faithfulness, and where we can ultimately experience contentment and joy. So my goal today was just to paint a big old problem. I hope that you come back next week. But over the next couple of weeks, I want us to focus on how to simplify our lives and how to better enjoy what we have. I hope you heard so far, it will be weeks until I ever talk about tithing. Because I think before we ever talk about tithing, we have to talk about the money in our life first. And about the control that the money has in our life as humans. Because I think if we can simplify our life, we can be more generous, and that we can truly tell our money what we want our money to do, and not let money control us. But ultimately, I want us to experience the best joy. No longer stress and worrying about our money, but to experience nothing that can get in the way of our joy. So every week, at the end of my sermon in the series of Enough, I'm going to invite us to pray a prayer of contentment. My hope is that this prayer will begin to undergird our lives as Christians. So the prayer will be up here. I'm going to read it first. And then if you are able, maybe you're not able today, but maybe in a couple of weeks you'll be able to really pray this prayer. So let me read this prayer for us now. Lord, help me to be grateful for what I have, to remember that I don't need most of what I want, and that joy is found in simplicity and generosity. Help me to be content with you as the Lord of my life. Amen. So if you're able, or if you have a desire today, feel free to pray this prayer with me now. Lord, help me to be grateful for what I have, to remember that I don't need most of what I want, and that joy is found in simplicity and generosity. Help me to be content with you as the Lord of my life. Amen. That short prayer has a lot of weight in there. So I hope you will join me and us as we continue to make this journey of enough. Can we experience enough, and can we experience joy? Amen.